Let the torch of freedom burn.
Welcome to the intersection of faith and the culture. It's WallBuilders Live, where we talk about today's hottest topics on policy, faith, the culture, all these different things. But we hit those hot topics from a biblical, historical, and constitutional perspective. And we're doing that now with a very hot topic: gun control, self-defense. What's the government's role? What's our role as citizens? And a lot of discussion today in America because of Biden's executive orders, because of a lot of other things that are going on, because of the mass murder events that have taken place. They're not mass shootings; they're mass murder events. A mass shooting, I do that every time I go to the range, right? I'm shooting a mass amount of time. I'm sending a lot of lead down range. So when I'm practicing at the range, that's a mass amount of shooting. So we've mislabeled this completely. Shooting is not a crime. Murdering is a crime. We would like to have more shooting in our culture because that means more people are training, getting equipped, able to carry a firearm and defend themselves and their family. What we want less of is mass murder. So let's get our terminology right. If you want to stop these mass murder events, you need more sheepdogs. You need more citizens trained to defend themselves and their families. The solution is not more police officers in every store or on every corner. As much as we back the blue here on WallBuilders Live, we're not for a police state. But the essential thing you've got to do, especially when cities are actually creating a situation where there's less police, they're defunding the police and they're letting more criminals out. I mean, it's absolutely insane the things we're doing in America today. So the only way that we're going to stop those mass murder events is for you and me to be trained, for more citizens to be trained. And guess what? That was the view of the Founding Fathers as well. That's why the Second Amendment is what it is. That's why the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Well, all this week we've been learning about it. It's the biblical right of self-defense. If you missed any of the programs earlier this week, they're all available at wallbuilderslive.com. By the way, that's where you can learn more about us. David Barton is America's premier historian and our founder here at WallBuilders. Tim Barton's a national speaker and pastor and president of WallBuilders. My name is Rick Green. I'm a former Texas legislator and America's Constitution coach. Learn more about all three of us at wallbuilderslive.com, where you can also get in the archive section those previous programs this week that are the first 3 parts of this 4-part series on the biblical right of self-defense. But you can also get previous week programs, Good News Friday programs, Foundations of Freedom Thursday programs, interviews that we've done throughout the week, all available at wallbuilderslive.com. That is also where you can make that one-time or monthly contribution. Friends, this truth, not only about the Second Amendment, not only about the entire Constitution, but about history, about biblical perspective on how to form our societies, our cultures, our communities, all of that truth that we speak here on WallBuilders Live, we need it, and it's got to reach more people. We've got to reach more people in America with the truth, and you can be a part of that. Go to wallbuilderslive.com today. Share the programs. You become a force multiplier when you send those programs out to your friends and family, and then contribute. Yes, lives, fortunes, and sacred honor. Fortunes means we've got to start contributing to organizations that are helping to save our country. And I'm telling you, WallBuilders is making a bigger difference than any organization I know of. So please consider going to wallbuilderslive.com today. That one-time or monthly contribution that you make, whether it's $5 or $5,000, it helps expand our message, helps us to speak this truth to a larger audience. It makes it possible for us to be on the stations and all the different things that we do. So please consider that. Thank you to all of you that already do that. But if you listen to this program and you enjoy it and you learn and you get inspired and you get equipped, then pay it forward. Go contribute today to wallbuilderslive.com and help us reach more people with that truth. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back from the break, we'll dive right back in where we left off yesterday with the biblical right of self-defense.
This is Tim Barton from WallBuilders with another moment from American history. Many today wrongly claim our founding fathers were largely atheists, agnostics, and deists. Certainly some founders were less religious than others, but even they were not irreligious. Consider Benjamin Franklin. Definitely one of the least religious among them, yet when the delegates at the Constitutional Convention hit an impasse in their deliberations, it was Franklin who called them to prayer, invoking numerous scriptures to make his point. As he reminded them, God governs in the affairs of men, and if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? We have been assured in the sacred writings that except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. I firmly believe this. So even the least religious of America's founders urged public prayer and dependence on God. For more information about the faith of the founding fathers, go to wallbuilders.com.
Thanks for staying with us. We're back on WallBuilders Live, and we are going to dive right back in where we left off yesterday with the biblical right of self-defense. That's our challenge, that our children, our grandchildren will not someday live in less freedom than what we've enjoyed. We've got to bring back what these guys did. They were willing to give everything, right? They gave. They didn't just pledge. They didn't just sign lives, fortune, sacred honor. They gave their lives, fortune, sacred honor. And that's what I'm asking you to do, to be willing to give of your life. That's your time. That's the time to actually study the Constitution. You're doing it tonight, right? You took time. I know you're tired. It was just a little bit windy today. Just a little bit, right? I mean, you've been out there all day on the range in that wind. You're tired. I mean, you stayed and you came and you said, I want to dive into this. I want to learn some things about the Constitution. This is a beginning. I'm challenging you to take this. Hopefully this will spark something in you to say, I got to dig deeper. I can't believe the founder said all those things. Man, that's ammunition. I can use that in my Facebook debates. I can use that in, at the Thanksgiving dinner with that cousin from wherever that thinks nobody should have a gun or whatever. This is your chance to begin to study so that you do have that ammunition. So life is your time. Okay, start investing some time in studying freedom. Become a student of freedom. Take some time to be willing to go out there and vote. Be willing to go out there and influence our government officials. If you think that somebody smarter than us is going to go solve all this stuff, folks, it's us. We're the ones that have to do it. In fact, Jefferson kind of responded to that idea that all the people aren't smart enough to do these things. He said, I know no safe depository of the ultimate power of society but the people themselves. If we think them not enlightened enough to exercise their control with a wholesome discretion, the remedy is not to take it from them, but to inform their discretion by education. That's what we're doing tonight. This is the true corrective of abuses of constitutional power. We can learn these things effectively. I hope that you end up getting the DVDs and go to Independence Hall with us in those things and study the Constitution in depth. I want to recommend a couple other resources to you. I think Mark Levin's book, Liberty Amendments, is probably the most important book on the Constitution out there right now because he gives the solutions for how we restore this thing. It's absolutely essential that we do the things he's talking about doing in there. So read his Liberty Amendments. You can get Constitution Alive with David Barton and myself. Listen to WallBuilders Live on a daily basis. We'll equip and inspire you. Get the tools you need to be able to vote intelligently. I don't know about you, but I go into the voting booth, man, there's 35 different races. I don't remember all the people and what they stand for and all. Get voter guides and take them in there with you when you go vote. iVoterGuide.com is a website where you can get, and most states are covered by it now. You can click on your state and download some voter guides for yourself. So get involved in that way. But also start being a Paul Revere. Actually be somebody that's telling other people in your life how important it is to do those things. You have the basic, much easier way to have a committee of correspondence than the founders ever had. You can use email and Facebook and all these great tools. Listen to our show. We'll equip and inspire you. We'll give you some tools on that. And then lastly, in terms of your time, I'm going to ask you to invest in the next generation. We do a program called Patriot Academy where we raise up young people from across the country. We bring them into state capitals across the country. They live the life of a legislator, and they learn the Founding Fathers' philosophy of how this system was designed to work. They get the skills they need, and now they're out there leading all over the country in state legislatures, and they're making movies and television shows. They're in the pulpit. They're in business. They're in every area of the culture. But they're good citizens because they've been equipped with these things at a Patriot Academy across the country. Another distinguished graduate from right here at Front Sight is the governor of Patriot Academy this year, and he's going to share a few minutes on Patriot Academy, and then we'll get you guys out of here so you can go get some sleep. Y'all please welcome Austin Griesinger, governor of Patriot Academy.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Green, and thank you guys so much for being here. I am incredibly excited about what we're doing right here at Front Sight in this room and out there on those ranges. Guys, what we're doing is we're being equipped and trained with two very important things. First, you're being equipped with the knowledge of your inalienable rights to keep and bear arms and to defend yourself. And second, you're getting trained with the skills to apply those rights if the need should ever arise. Well, like Mr. Green said, my name is Austin Griesinger, and I am the governor of Patriot Academy. And over the course of the last 6 years, I've had the privilege to meet and work alongside hundreds of other young men and women who are passionate about preserving liberty. That's right, you heard me correctly. Young conservative leaders exist, and Patriot Academy is equipping them for the fight. So, what is Patriot Academy? Think of Patriot Academy as Front Sight, except for worldview, leadership, and politics. You see, Front Sight is the premier training institute for firearms in America. Patriot Academy is the premier training institute for teaching young leaders the core principles of what makes America so exceptional. Patriot Academy is engineered to take a young person out of their glued to their technology world of complacency and put them in the hot seat. Like I said, we're in the actual House chambers, sitting in the same chairs as real elected legislators, being asked to tackle some of the toughest issues that we face today. Patriot Academy is a lot like going through a simulation house here at Frontside, which you guys are going to get to do tomorrow. When you go through that simulation house, your skills are put under intense pressure, as if in a real-world scenario. Patriot Academy does the same thing for young leaders.
All right, friends, sorry to interrupt, but we're going to have to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're listening to a special programming this week on WallBuilders Live, the biblical right of self-defense. Stay with us. You're listening to WallBuilders Live.
Hey guys, we want to let you know about a new resource we have at WallBuilders called The American Story. For so many years, people have asked us to do a history book to help tell more of the story that's just not known or not told today, and we would say very providentially, in the midst of all of the new attacks coming out against America, whether it be from things like the 1619 Project that say America is evil and everything in America was built off slavery, which is certainly not true, or things like even the Black Lives Matter movement, the organization itself, not the statement Black Lives Matter, but the organization that says we're against everything that America was built on, and this is part of the Marxist ideology. There's so many things attacking America. Well, is America worth defending? What is a true story of America? We actually have written and told that story, starting with Christopher Columbus, going roughly through Abraham Lincoln. We tell the story of America not as the story of a perfect nation or a perfect people, but the story of how God used these imperfect people and did great things through this nation. It's a story you want to check out. WallBuilders.com, The American Story.
Thanks for staying with us, folks. This is WallBuilders Live, and we're doing a special program. If you just tuned in with us, we're doing a special presentation this week, and this is part 4 of a 4-part series on the biblical right of self-defense. And right before the break, we were in the middle of that presentation, so let's just dive right back into the biblical right of self-defense.
And I'd like to compare Patriot Academy and Frontsight in one more specific way. At Frontsight, you learned those 4 rules of gun safety that you guys went over this morning, right? Well, at Patriot Academy, we have 4 rules, or more like principles, that we consider any time we take policy, worldview, any law that we're looking at, they get run through this list of principles. We call them the LIFT principles. That stands for limited government, individual liberty, free enterprise, and timeless truths. Anytime we consider policy, we run them through that so that we make sure that we're considering those things out of a place of facts and data and not just emotion. My fellow students and I really believe that if we begin to reapply those principles, those 4 principles, we can absolutely see a restoring of our constitutional republic form of government. I know what you might be thinking at this point. Why in the world would a 16-year-old, a 20-year-old, or in my case, a 22-year-old, take a week out of their summer to go to a state capitol building and play politics? In my case, for 6 consecutive years. What would compel a young person like me to invest so much time and energy into something like this? Is it just because I'm some kind of political nerd? Yes, I am a political nerd, that is true, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is actually far more serious than that. You see, when I look around at my generation, at my peers, the majority of them, all I see is apathy. It's this poisonous attitude of, well, things are just so bad already, there's nothing I personally can do, the culture is just so far out that there's nothing I can do, why should I even get involved? But at Patriot Academy, I get to be surrounded by leaders. And I've had the opportunity to help other young people like me abandon apathy and embrace purpose. Guys, that's the mission of Patriot Academy. And I have a quick video to show you guys that'll kind of outline that a little bit better.
You know, I'm old enough to remember Nikita Khrushchev, when he came to the UN one day, he pulled his shoe off and pounded his shoe on a table in front of him. And he said this: we'll take you as a nation without firing a shot, because we'll do it from within.
The challenges facing this current generation of Americans really are unique. I mean, throughout our history, we have faced attacks from within, we faced attacks from without, but never before at the exact same time.
The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world.
With everything that's been happening in today's world, we as Americans feel like our freedom is going away from us, like there is no hope for the future, but there is.
America is not only known for freedom, she's known for enduring freedom. Every time that we faced a major crisis, a major struggle, we have become stronger as a result of that struggle.
Freedom is not free, and freedom will not protect you. You and I must protect and preserve freedom and pass it on to the next generation.
The choice is ours. What will history say of the hour in which we were called to lead, in which you were called to lead? Will they say of our generation that on our watch the torch of freedom was only dimly lit, or God forbid that it was extinguished? Will they say that we fumbled in passing the torch to the next generation?
Our generation are the ones that are going to change the world, that are going to fight for freedom, that are going to work together to give something to those coming after us.
Or will they say that on your watch there was a rekindling of that sacred fire of liberty? Because your generation stood up and you reached out and you grabbed that torch of freedom, and together we held it even higher. We made it burn even brighter than ever before.
That's the battle cry today. There's a call to arms, a call to action, a call for this younger generation to do something great with their life.
We are a part of something bigger than ourselves, and that's what Patriot Academy showed me.
And that fire burns bright and allows you to communicate to others and light a fire in them as well.
I've seen in the last several years, from the south of Texas to the north of Illinois, from New York City to California, a younger generation that has passion.
We can uphold our freedom, that we can continue to be that beacon, that torch for the rest of the world.
The light of freedom is true and hot and bright, and no forces can stop its spread.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
Now, if that video does not get your blood pumping, I honestly don't know what will. Maybe you guys need to get back out there and throw some more lead down range. Would that help? Would that help? Because you guys are going to do plenty of that tomorrow. Now, the young people you saw in that video, they're actually out making movies. They're working in legislative bodies. They're building businesses. And some of them are even serving in elected office. That's right, I did say serving in elected office. Now, actually, interestingly enough, we have a few Patriot Academy students here, so when I talk about them and tell you that they're at the Capitals debating bills and stuff, we actually have some of the product here who are getting trained on the Second Amendment right alongside you guys. I know we got Mike Noriega in the back from Arizona, PA. Would you wave your hand real quick, Mike? Noah West over here from Texas Patriot Academy, and Chase Knott from Idaho Patriot Academy. That's 3 of our academies right there. So they're out here learning this stuff just like you guys. Now most people, most patriots, when they see a video like that, their first thought is, wow, there is hope for the future. Their second thought is, what can I do to help?
All right, sorry, friends, last interruption for the entire Biblical Right of Self-Defense program. Last interruption of the day as well. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're listening to WallBuilders Live. Have you noticed the vacuum of leadership in America? We're looking around for leaders of principle to step up, and too often, no one is there. God is raising up a generation of young leaders with a passion for impacting the world around them. They're crying out for the mentorship and leadership training they need. Patriot Academy was created to meet that need. Patriot Academy graduates now serve in state capitals around America, in the halls of Congress, in business, in the film industry, in the pulpit, and every area of the culture. They're leading effectively and impacting the world around them.
Patriot Academy is now expanding across the nation, and now's your chance to experience this life-changing week that trains champions to change the world. Visit patriotacademy.com for dates and locations. Our core program is still for young leaders 16 to 25 years old, but we also now have a citizen track for adults. So visit the website today to learn more. Help us fill the void of leadership in America. Join us in training champions to change the world at patriotacademy.com.
We're back here on WallBuilders Live. Thanks for staying with us. Let's get the conclusion of the biblical right of self-defense.
Well, there's two very simple things that you guys can do to help. And the first one is arguably the most important. Tell someone you know about Patriot Academy. I know while I've been up here talking, someone has come to mind who you know that would be perfect for a program like Patriot Academy. Give them some information. Send them to patriotacademy.com, whether it's a child or a grandson or granddaughter, a neighbor, someone from your church, anyone you know between the ages of 16 and 25, send them to patriotacademy.com and get them to either Austin, Texas or Boise or wherever is closest for them. The second thing you guys can do is be willing to give a little bit of your fortune to Patriot Academy, either by helping to pay for the tuition of that student you know who's going to be coming to the academy, or by giving directly to Patriot Academy at patriotacademy.com. If you guys have any questions, Reagan, who was up here speaking earlier, myself, Mr. Green, any one of us would be happy to answer your questions about how you can get involved with Patriot Academy. You see, when the signers of the Declaration put their name underneath that final incredible line where Thomas Jefferson wrote, "For the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor." What we're asking you guys to do tonight is to be willing to come alongside Patriot Academy and give just a little bit of your fortune to help the Academy keep having its impact on my generation. Now, I got one more thing and then I'm going to close. Ronald Reagan once said, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction." We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. See, when you guys go home after your 2 or 4 day class here at Front Sight, hopefully you'll be going home in condition yellow, no longer in condition white. And you will have an increased sense of awareness, and you will be a sheepdog. I know for me personally, my father's a police officer in Grand Prairie, Texas. And so ever since I was at a very young age, I've been being raised to be that sheepdog. What we're asking you guys to partner with Patriot Academy to do is to help continue training the sheepdogs of liberty in my generation. Thank you guys so much, and if you'll please welcome back Mr. Rick Green.
Good job, Austin. The last part is lives, fortunes, and sacred honor. This is where we have got to be willing to stand up and speak truth in a culture right now that in some ways doesn't want to hear that. And oftentimes you might even be shouted down for speaking truth. But like the founders, we've got to be willing to stand up and say, this is truth, it doesn't change, and our nation desperately needs to know these things. So you've got to dig deep, you've got to get this information, and then you've got to go out there and share it with your friends and family. You've got to be, like I said earlier, a Paul Revere of today. Our nation is at the precipice. I firmly believe that. I think we have an opportunity right now to turn it, though. I think God's given us a window right now, sort of a chance to pivot, if you will, and turn this thing back around. A lot of great things have been happening in the last few, really about 15 months. Just kind of coincides with a couple of things. I don't know. But anyway, a lot of great things are happening that I never thought would happen so quickly. So there's some really good stuff happening. Let's take advantage of the movement right now, all right? A lot of your friends and neighbors want to study these things, want to come to Front Sight. You be a part of making that happen. Lives, fortunes, sacred honor. They did it for us. They passed that torch of freedom to us. Now it's our turn. Let's make sure we defend and protect it, and let's make sure that that torch of freedom on our watch burns even brighter than ever before. God bless you guys. Thanks for coming tonight. Have a great time out of Front Sight tomorrow. Well, we just finished another constitutional defense course here at Front Sight, and once again, a phenomenal time. We had almost 100 people here with us from all over the country. Some of these folks had never touched a gun in their life, and now they have learned how to properly defend themselves. They're no longer afraid of that gun. They can use it to defend themselves and their family. Some people came with us that have been shooting their whole life, really good at it, and still learned a lot and had great fellowship and became even better by the end of the week. And best of all, we studied the Constitution. We talked about action steps that citizens can take to be good citizens in order to preserve our constitutional republic and pass it intact to the next generation. We're going to be having another trip to Front Sight with Patriot Academy soon. Watch our website, and you make sure you come with us next time so you can learn to defend your family and defend our Constitution. All right, friends, that presentation you've been listening to was called The Biblical Right of Self-Defense, a 4-part series that came from a presentation that I did at Front Sight during our constitutional defense course. And it's a great opportunity for you as well to learn in person. If you'd like to come with us and actually train physically to defend your family, it's the best handgun defense training in the country. Most of the people that come with us have never shot a gun. Think about that. Never touched a gun. And they leave that training completely comfortable with carrying a firearm. It's safe. It's effective. The training's phenomenal. So I just really encourage you to check that out. It's not just a handgun defense training, though. In the evenings, I teach on the Constitution, so you get the intellectual ammunition that you need to save our Constitution, and also just the fellowship. The fellowship is worth the trip, believe me, to get to see smiling faces. No COVID fascism here. It's just a wonderful, wonderful time. Check it out at constitutioncoach.com today. Get signed up for one of we've got several more courses before the summer, and then, of course, in the fall, we'll have about one a month. Check out the dates at constitutioncoach.com and come join us. It's a great time of fellowship, and you need to be there. Last thing, wallbuilderslive.com. Check out the website today. I mentioned it at the beginning of the program, but your contribution there is what makes this program possible. So please consider doing that one time or monthly contribution today. So one more time, both websites, wallbuilderslive.com. That's where you can get archives of the program. You can get the first 3 parts if you just tuned in today and we're listening to part 4 of this series on biblical right of self-defense. All of that at wallbuilderslive.com. That's where you make the contribution. And then constitutioncoach.com is where you can sign up for the constitutional defense course and join us for this incredible training. Thanks so much for listening today. You've been listening to WallBuilders Live.
We stand undivided.